It's an airish morning here in the mountains of southern Appalachia. Matt's already making fun of me because I've got my toboggan on, my boggin as we would say. He says it's not that cold. I said, well, it's pretty chilly. It's down in the 40s this morning, but we've got some things we want to do out here in the garden today. One of the things, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to harvest all of our white sweet potatoes that we grew up there in that bed. And then after that, we'll need to go around and see if there's anything else that we need to harvest. Sweet potato vines have spilled out into the walkway and the bank and everywhere else. And we've got some...
Can I get rid of that?
Yeah.
Please.
Yes, that's a ground cherry that's come up there. Let's pull it up. There's some briars in there too, blackberry briars. They've took over one end of it. Somebody'll have to beat his way through before we can start harvesting them.
I'm gonna see where they come from.
I don't know if it's inside it or on the outside.
That one's on the outside. I can get him, maybe. Take that evil demon briar.
We have tame blackberries that don't have any briars on them, but everywhere we have wild ones, and they have the briars that'll really attach to you and scrape you. They have a wonderful taste though, the berries sure do.
Pulling the vines up.
Yes.
Just get them all at once.
There you go. That's the way to do it. Just put it right there behind you. These are not white. These are red or orange ones. So, I wonder if our plants were mixed up. Yep, look at that.
Okay. Maybe some person seeded all them tomatoes, done the same thing with the potatoes.
There's some big white ones. Look at that. Ooh, that's a nice one. Oh, look at that one. That one potato will feed us all.
It's the biggest sweet potato I've ever seen.
That's crazy. Crazy.
I'm gonna have to get a digger to get down in there. Ain't we? Get squiggly in there.
Pretty good haul.
Yeah. If I let him eat, my daughter come on.
I don't know about that big one, if you could have it eat or not. So that's a great harvest just for no more than we planted. I think we had 9 plants and not all of them lived. We ordered just the white plant, but as you can see, somehow there was a mix up with that, and there's some of the more common orange sweet potatoes. Those will be really good too though. Let's see if we can call Granny.
Hello.
What you doing?
I just took me a shower to get ready to go today.
Okay, well, I'll be down there in about 12 to get you.
Okay, that'll be good.
Me and Matt's been digging our sweet potatoes. Would you like some?
Sure. I didn't know you had some.
Yeah, we planted some white ones.
Oh, I like the white ones the best.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
We only ordered white white slips, but apparently there was a mix-up, so we have a few of the orange ones, but most of them are white.
Yeah. Well, that's good. When you dig them yesterday?
No, just now. This morning.
Oh, you've been out of work and it's cold out, ain't it?
I know, it is a little chilly. I've got one of the toboggans you made me on. Matt was laughing at me, but it's a little chilly.
Yeah, it keeps you warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll bring you some sweet potatoes. I'll see you in just a little bit.
Okay, bye.
Bye. I knew she'd be excited about the white ones. That's her favorite, too.
Give her all of them. She wants them.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned.
I know. Matt don't care.
She can have the whole basket.
We could take that big one, the orange one, that'd feed us, wouldn't it, for a day or two. Yeah, we'll share with her. She'll be excited about it, I knew.
That's a monster.
I should take her.
I don't know how fit to eat it'll be, but it sure is a big one.
Yeah, I should take that one and show her and ask her if she could cook that one. She'd say, oh no, that might be too much. Flowers in front of the kitchen some of them are the zinnias. Old maids are beginning to look a little raggedy, but look at the cosmos. They're still so pretty. And this one, I'll have to lean it over for you to see it. It's as big as I am. It's taller than I am. So they are still been really joyful to see and to look at every time I wash the dishes. Back here in the middle, oh, here's our coneflower. I didn't realize it was blooming. I didn't even know that. It's hiding. Look at the bee there. He's moving really slow this morning because it's so cold. But I was going to show you down in there in the middle is some bachelor buttons. I think they're a really pretty flower too. There's one. Here's some over here, some blue ones. I thought I had some white ones, but I don't see them. Oh, and there's look at that. I didn't know that was in there. I planted some wildflowers in here too that day that I was planting them, and I bet that come out of it. Look at that. That's pretty. It's being overshadowed by the old maids and the cosmos. Isn't that a beautiful picture, though, right there? That should be a picture. I should take a picture of that. You've got the bee, the flowers, that blue, and then also kind of the tinge of, that fall of the years here. Looking at the leaves on the old maids and that one fading out. So next on our list is to see if there's any of the rattlesnake beans here to pick. There's some really little ones and some little blooms. The blooms look awful pitiful, don't they? Matt says he believes they're about done. I think he's right. Here's a few though, a few bigger ones. So we'll just pick everything we see. See how much we end up with. Maybe we end up with enough for a mess.
Weird picking beans this time of year.
It is weird. Maybe the latest we've ever picked them.
It is. I mean, it's just, a lot of this stuff we picked is just weird. And back when they should have made, they didn't.
I know.
That's probably what the purpose of all this is. And then we've had warm weather.
Yeah.
I guess that's what caused all this.
So we ended up with definitely enough for a mess, enough for us to eat. And I got some of my little cucumbers too. I got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. None of them are very big. They're all little, but they'll be tasty, and I'll be sure to share those with Granny too. She'll be impressed that I've got cucumbers in October. These are the fall things that Matt and I planted. You can see they're coming up in this green stalk. And this one, not so much. I see one right there, and that may not even be one of the things I planted. Oh no, now that I said that, right there's some. So yeah, it's coming up, it's good. Let me move the leaves out. This one has one little one right there, and then a whole bunch right there. I don't know why those are coming up first, but there's 1 or 2 right there too. I think this is the only one I really don't see anything sprouted in it. Actually, there's a poor little dead bee, but that might be something right behind it. And this last one's the one I planted the 2 different kinds of lettuce. It looks like they're both up. They're both up and growing. So maybe we'll have something. And this was the row that we've not been able to grow really anything in this summer. And I couldn't resist trying one more time. And I planted radishes in it, which you can see right there, they're coming up. Here's another one right there. Then you see this place right here, all the way up through there. Mr. Binks clawed it all out, a whole big, probably 2 foot of the row. So I don't know if it's so disturbed if anything will grow right there or not. But then when you get past that, there's more radishes coming up. So at least he didn't damage the whole thing. Maybe he won't. I'm out here harvesting the butter beans in a jacket and a toboggan, and Katie is harvesting spinach, and she's got shorts on, so she's like her daddy. The cold doesn't bother her like it does me. I was going to show you some of these. I've showed you 100 times, but I just can't get over the butter beans. They're just so lovely. So lovely. Let's see if I can find a different color. Yep. So here's some of my hands are too cold to hold them up, but some of the little speckledy ones, and then some of those pink ones, little pink ones. A lot of these, not all of these, some of them we got are still green, but some of these that have dried like this, I'm going to probably use them for seed for next year, save them and put them up for seed. We've actually, in one way, we've harvested a lot of butter beans this year. We've been eating them and enjoying them. I've been drying some of them so we can use them use them this winter. But compared to green beans, we've not really, like all summer long, we've not harvested enough to do a cannon. So I don't know. I'm still torn about them really producing on the scale of the green beans usually do to feed our family, and then just that I love their taste, and I am enamored, by their beautiful colors. I love that part too, that it's a feast for the eyes, and the taste, they really are like butter. I mean, when you cook them, they're just so delicious, so delicious. So I'll save some of these for seeds and then add some of them to either eat them fresh or add them to our supply of dried ones. We just got a text from Paul saying that Granny had leftover cinnamon rolls for anybody that wanted them. So I think me and Matt's going to walk down the hill and get us one.
Let's go.
There's not much left in Granny's little garden. A few green beans here and there. And then her old maids, her zinnias, and that's about it. She's got a few beans here and there on these little bush beans. These are some peas that she planted, and then a few on cornfield beans that we planted for.
Very good.
Now we can now give you the energy to continue. We're doing such hard work this morning.
Might be able to push through the end now.
Our next stop's to see if there's any peppers. Look at this little bitty one. Little teeny tiny one. We'll leave it, but with the cool weather, they're not gonna like this at all.
A couple of red ones right over there.
This is the bed where a few weeks ago we harvested the potatoes, but this is how you know you missed some. There's a potato plant, another potato plant, some briars, but those potato plants coming back always let you know that you missed at least a little tiny potato down in there, and then they're trying to put out their new growth too. And they likely won't make anything because cold weather's going to get here, but we'll just leave them. And you know, you might get surprised, they might, but probably won't. And if they do, it won't be very many.
I hadn't known that since the last time it was cold.
Tasty.
Mm-hmm. Not good.
This is not the, usually I try to do Granny's recipe. I've done a video about it before I could link to it, but this is the Postum cocoa blend.
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Not as sweet, but more of a nutty richness or something to it. It's good. Feels good. I'm cold. Matt's making fun of my hat, my toboggan.
You make fun of it.
You said it wasn't cold enough for that.
Well, it just exactly. I mean, it's cool, but it ain't cold enough for all that.
We call these toboggans or boggans. You just hear boggin. Where's your boggin at? You need to put a boggin on before you go outside.
Yeah.
I didn't know until I was till I was writing for the Blind Pig and the Acorn that in lots of places they call them different things. I can't think of none of them right now. There's really one common one that I can't think of. You'll know what it is. But I didn't realize that people in other places didn't call them toboggans. And one of my cousins, who his mother grew up here and but moved up north, and that's where he was born and raised and all that, he told me that when he was a little boy, they would, they walked to school, and they got lots of snow, not like us down here. But some of the neighbor girls, his mother would tell them, to let him walk with them since he was younger. And so he was. And one time they were going, and his mother yelled, I don't remember if she yelled, "Don't forget he forgot his toboggan," or I think that was it. He forgot to put his toboggan on. But then the girls looked at him and said, "She wants you to put your sled on." What? Because they were thinking yeah. Anyway, you'll have to tell us. A watch cap, is that it? Maybe,
yeah,
maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I don't know. A
It
knit
is.
hat.
I've got a couple of wool ones in there and when I bought them, that's how they were advertised as watch caps.
Yeah, maybe that's it, watch cap. But we say toboggan.
It's got to be pretty
for
cold
sure.
before I put them on. But now I like them when it is cold. You can't beat them, especially a wool one. And I guess that's probably got wool in it, the knit in it, from the looks of it.
I like them because of staying warm, like Matt said. But if thinking about snow, which we don't get very often, but playing out in the snow or just hiking in the cold times that we've been out or camping or something like that, I like them because they help you stay warm. But then too, they keep if you've got long hair, they keep your hair out of your face. Like keep your hair brushed back out of your face if you're sledding or walking or something.
Keep your ears warm too.
Yeah, keep your ears warm. Granny makes them, and I said Granny made this one, but I'm not sure she did or not. Either she made it or Corey made it, one or the other. Corey's made several of them too.
Looks like one Corey probably made.
May have been Corey. One time me and Matt, it was a big snow, and we was hiking up in the woods, and I had a black one that Granny had made me, and I had it on, and didn't realize till we got all the way back home that it was gone. I'd lost it. It probably going under branches or something had pulled it off. And we went back the next day and made the same big loop, but we never found it, did we?
No.
That was probably my favorite one. It wasn't as tight as this one. It was looser, but I really loved it. But somehow I lost it in the snow that day, and we went back and looked, but I never found it. Maybe some little animal pulled it to their den and was cozied up in it, reckon.
I don't know, maybe. Maybe some little bald-headed bear cub found it and put it on his little head.
Maybe.
Keep him warm, reckon.
I used to have a book, and I can't remember the name of it when I was little. Me and Paul had it. I can just almost remember the name of it, but I can't. But it was like about a little groundhog or a hedgehog or something like that, and about them getting ready for winter. And, you know, of course, in the little book, it showed underground their little den that they was in was like a house, you know, with a little bed and all that. But I really liked it. And, of course, they were, you know, cooking, and the steam was coming out of their stove, out of the ground and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's one of the ones I kept or Granny kept. I'd like to get it and read it to the little boys.
Yeah.
That's right. It is strange for us to be. Now, the potatoes are not. That's normal. Not normal because we don't usually grow sweet potatoes, but harvesting potatoes this time of the year would be normal. But still being able to get green beans and cucumbers, and there's a few tomatoes here and there, but they're about all gone. And the peppers, that's really unusual.
Really weird.
Really strange. It's a couple of things. Our dry summer that was so different, and then the rain we did get and helped this, and then also that we replanted. Mm-hmm. You know, those are not the beans that we planted the first thing this spring or early summer. Actually, the butter beans are, though. Those are the same ones, just not the rattlesnake beans and the other green beans, and of course not the cucumbers. So we can't always get ourselves to do a succession planting, but if you can, you see the benefits of it. It doesn't always work out for us, and we used to never do it, never even think about it when I was still working full time. Maybe once or twice I tried some little something, but it's just so hard when you're working full time outside of the home. We were doing good if we just grew the first garden, so we never tried to do succession planting really.
We did once.
What did we
Me
do?
and your daddy did the corn like that one year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We planted like 3 long rows and waited, I think, a couple of weeks and
2
planted
weeks.
3 more rows, and then another 2 weeks planted 3 more rows. And it's worked to some extent, you know. I mean, it seemed like all of it caught up fairly close to the same time, but it still spread it out in a longer.
So you had more.
You were able to pick corn in a longer duration, you know. Not a great deal longer, but some.
Farmer Tim down the road, that's how he always does his,
Right.
He does every 2 weeks. He has the different corn that he grows.
We ought to do that next year.
We should do it, yeah. We definitely should, and that way it's not all coming in at one time and you got to get it all. And maybe you miss some of if there's bad weather, you miss some of that affects it, so. But usually we're not people that ever do that. We should. And we have tried a little bit more in the last 2 or 3 years to kind of experiment with it, but we're still not good at doing it. This year, we probably wouldn't have done that at all, but we were so desperate just because those beans had literally just died on the cattle panel, and I was like, let's just pull them all out and try again and see if something happens. And these second beans grew better than the first ones.
Yeah, we've got.
We had 2 cannons, and then we've eat from them.
Yeah, we could have had 3 just off that one row on the second planting, but one of those pickings, we just eat them.
Yeah.
Or eat on them for a few days. Give some to your mama.
Yeah. So, of course, while we're out here working, I'm thinking about, in the back of my mind, about all the people suffering still from Helene and now from Milton. My heart just goes out to all of them. Makes me, one of you told me that what I was feeling was survivor's guilt, and I guess that's true, because I just feel like, how could I be happy about anything, because they've just lost everything. Yeah. Of course, we know the world goes on, and we know that there's suffering in the world every day of the world since the world first was made by the Lord. There's been suffering, so, you know, it's just hard to wrap your mind around, though, and it just makes you feel so bad. And I think certainly when it, you feel bad for everybody. Like, of course we do, whether it's, if there was a hurricane in another country or if it's an earthquake or whatever it is, you feel terrible for them. But it somehow really brings it home to you when it's people that you know or in a place thinking about Haywood County with Matt growing up there and me and him living there when we met. And, it's just... And of course, Haywood joins Buncombe, so we were in and out of Buncombe County, going, and Miss Cindy lived in Buncombe County, so there's all those different things. It just makes you really realize when you see, it's not that you don't care about other people, you do, but it just brings it really to the forefront of your mind. I was reading that yesterday that since all this had happened, that they expect that there would be a resurgence in trying to, like, thinking about preparation, preppers, people that are preppers, Me and Matt are not necessarily preppers. We just like to kind of live like we do. I mean, we are in that sense. We try to be prepared, but we're not like the typical prepper, I don't think.
No.
But I guess our families have always been preppers in that they always looked ahead. They had to look ahead to winter and what might happen and what might not. But anyway, that there be a resurgence of that it's going to make a lot of people rethink, how to be better prepared. Now, I will say, I've also seen some horrible people like saying, how could you have been prepared? Well, you could have been the best prepper in the entire world and had underground tanks of water and whatever, your imagination can dream up. And if the side of the mountain falls off on top of you, none of that would do you any good whatsoever. So you cannot prepare for something, like all of a sudden a 25-foot of river going down your house that had never even been there before. So there's certain things you just cannot prepare for at all.
Yeah, and that's one of them, especially because that's just not something that typically ever happens there. And that's part of the shock of it. So, you don't... Yeah. You can't prepare for the... I mean, you can sort of in your mind try to prepare, but you can't really prepare for watching your house and your vehicles and
just
family members just wash away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just hard to prepare for that.
You can't. And like I said, no matter how prepared you are, even if you're like, well, I live on the side of, I'm above the floodplain, which a lot of those people was above it too. Right. There had never been a flood like this. Right. But even if you were all that, if the side of the mountain comes off, then, you can't stop that. There's just no preparation for it. Anyway, our hearts just go out to them. We continue to pray for them and pray for the people giving them aid and try to give aid where we can. And that's all we can do. Mm-hmm. But it does make me, like I said, a lot of you told me I was feeling survivor's guilt, and I guess that's a real thing because I feel it. I feel like I've really enjoyed this morning with Matt, but then there's part of me that thinks, I just wish everyone could enjoy that. And if I had a magic wand, I'd make the hurricanes disappear forever. Not just these two, but all of them forever, because they are so destructive and they hurt so many people. And then, of course, the Milton in Florida, terrible, terrible damage. But then the storm was all of the tornadoes. Now, there was some of that with Helene, too, but I think it was worse with Milton.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a major tornado outbreak down there.
Yeah. Anyway.
And that's not very typical for down there, I don't think. Not that kind of an outbreak. And not those types of tornadoes that are that destructive.
Terrible. Terrible. In the mountains here in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina, we're typically sheltered from the tornadoes. They just don't happen as frequently. Now, they can happen here, but they don't. And going back to being prepared, that's a lot of people have said, well, people in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina trying to prepare for a hurricane is like asking Miami to prepare for a blizzard. It just usually doesn't happen. You've probably heard, me and Matt have, we've seen talks about it, and I didn't even know about it until all this, of course. But then in 1916, there was a great flood that come through Asheville, and it also was a result of a hurricane. So I've heard a lot of people talk about that. Well, it's been a lot of years between 1916 and today to forget about that and not have it be, so real to you. Of course, wouldn't have been as populated in those days, but it would been just as dangerous.
Oh yeah.
More so, really, because they would have had no clue what was happening.
They wouldn't
you
have
know.
had any warning until they saw it, really.
More so.
Yeah.
So we have seen, like we said, we're so thankful to all those giving aid and people that are giving donations from afar, like we are, or working behind the scenes, kind of. But we have seen in the last 2 or 3 days now, when we're filming this, things may have changed by the time you see this on Sunday night, but that North Carolina had made a travel advisory where they had put part of the counties most affected. There's a big swath, and if you Google, you could find the map and it could show you. I won't name all the counties, but they had put an advisory on that area for only essential travel. And I think I'm sure there's many reasons, but the ones that come to mind would be just that there's still so much damage to the highways, to the roads, to those kind of things. And then also, there were so many gas stations that were affected in that area. So then, that's an issue if you're just traveling through there and you need to stop for gas. Well, the people there giving aid and the people living there, they've got to have that because there's fewer places to get it. So a number of different reasons, but especially the highway system and it's like we talked about before. It's not just the back roads; it's the interstates. Mm-hmm. They've all received so much damage. So that was something that just come about, I think, yesterday. Just asking people, unless they had to drive through those counties, not to, because they're just trying their best to give aid to people and help them and to rebuild those areas. Our friend that we've talked about's out there working. That's what his crew is working on, is trying to redo some of those bridges and at least get them. They're not redoing them at this point to where they're going to be exactly like they were, but just getting something to where people the travel can go easier, the transportation can go, and then they'll worry about going back and redoing each one of them, I'm sure, like they're supposed to. But just trying to get something in there so that travel can be restored to those really outlying areas. So sad. I've said that repeatedly too, but I'll say it again, is that this is not something that's just going to be over next week or next month or even by Christmas or something. It'll take literal years to build back.
And then you've got cold weather already basically here and about on the doorstep, so those people are going to be needing, the things they're going to be needing is going to change, and you can't forget that and can't forget about it. You've got to keep trying to help and donate and buy things to send them, and just watch for the updated needs list. There's multiple ones, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And just keep buying stuff and keep sending. Like that's kind of what we're trying to do.
And that more recent ones, like Matt said, is asking for more cold weather stuff, whether it's hand warmers or
blankets, sleeping bags, coats,
all those kind of things. Yeah, it's just I can't imagine, because I've never been through anything like that. But I think about one of our friends that lost their house in a fire, and she said that it was. They were not there. They went on a trip and they come back and their house is in flames. It burned it to the ground. They lost everything. They didn't get anything out. But she said it was, of course you immediately think about it, when you're just thinking, what if I lost everything? You think about, my wedding pictures, my kids' pictures, those kind of things, But and maybe you even think about the deed to my house or my title to my car or stuff. But she said it's such, and it is all those things, and you grieve for all those things. But then she said it's just the crazy things too. It's like, so you're staying at somebody's house or something, and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna, go get my, maybe it's some kind of flossing tool or something you use that makes your teeth feel better, and you're like, you go to look for it, and you're like, well, I don't have it because it's gone. It's the weird little everyday things. Well, I need to clip my fingernails. I'll go get my fingernail clipper. Oh, I don't have one. I don't have nothing, except the clothes that were on my back and my purse, and that's it. That's all I got. So I can't imagine. I've never been through anything like that. And there's lots of people from Florida to Virginia and everywhere in between going through it now. Mm-hmm. in all parts of the world. I understand there's lots of suffering in the world, and all I know to do, though, is pray. And I don't even like how I said that. All I know to do is pray. I shouldn't have said it like that. I should say we can pray, and we will pray.
And it works.
And it works. Prayer is our greatest weapon, and it works. It is encouraging, I'm sure, for all of them, the people that some people have got their power back. I've had a lot of people tell me, been without power for 8 days now, but I got it back last night. You know, both of our friends that we were talking about in the recent videos, South Carolina and North Carolina, they got theirs back. So I know that's an encouragement that has to make you feel a little bit better, and and those people are real, I was talking about survivor's guilt for me, but then there's even those people are like, well, we've been without power for 8 days, and we had trees down in the yard and whatever, but we've got our house. Right. There's different levels of, for us, of course, it was nothing. Cherokee County suffered no damage at all from the storm, no flooding from the storm, no damage, no flooding, no wind, no nothing. But then there's areas that, just lost their power, or people that had trees in their yard but not on their house. Just all varying degrees of stuff. And like Matt said, it's just such a wide area.
Yeah, such a big area and so much damage. It's just going to take years to not even repair it, but just to get it back to where it's functional again. And the damage will still be there, and it'll still be visible for decades, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. But just being able to get it back to where it's where it's usable and where you can drive on the roads again and get the power back on, and some of the stores get back up to functioning. That'll be some time, but it'll be a big boost in morale for the people that's directly affected by it. Mm-hmm. I think.
Another interesting thing I read recently, and I had not thought about this either. I saw yesterday on somebody's, I think it was in an email that someone sent me. Of course, we've all seen the videos and the pictures of all the debris and all the stuff piled up, and a lot of it trees and things like that, but also just trash that cause people's houses washed away and buildings washed away and things like that, and cars and everything. And they're starting to clean up, like Matt said, and trying to get it situated. But a lot of their, I was talking about the gas stations being out of commission, but a lot of their trash pickups, or just their dumps, like we would say our local trash dump, they're gone too. Some of them, some of them are gone. So they were saying that a lot of now in certain areas, this was I think in Burnsville, I might be wrong about that, but I think it was Burnsville, they're asking so that if an organization, a church or something, they bring stuff in on a trailer, when they leave, like to donate, and they drop it off, could they please take trash back out with them and take it to their landfill or their dump or whatever? Because even the people that are still living there, their trash is beginning to pile up, and it's like that's almost turned into a separate little disaster within a disaster of how do we get rid of all this the people that are still living there producing just your daily trash, but then people that are beginning to clean up, what do they do with all that? Yeah. So they were asking people, if you come into this area with a trailer or whatever and you leave, please could you take a load of trash back to your what do you say that? Municipality? Municipality?
Municipal.
Municipal. Municipality.
I think you're too cold.
I think I am too. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Back to your area and just get rid of the trash. Yep. So that's like one. I was like, I never even thought of that. Never even thought of it. When something like this happens, though, there is all those little things that come to light of things that you just take for granted, like being able to take your trash and dump it.
About got to the end of mine.
I am too. About there. It's a good thing because it's getting cooled off. Well, we appreciate you spending time with us today in the garden, and I think Matt's got to, I don't know what you got to go do, whatever it is. I got to go take Granny to an appointment. And
I don't know. I'll find something to get into that's semi-productive.
Matt's been working this week on his the area where he thinks, or I think we've decided that's where the shed's going to be. Mm-hmm. So he's been working on clearing that area out, and he's about got it all cleared out, hauled in a ton of wood in the basement, got it put up. We have more wood on the way, but we think we're going to let them dump it down at the garden, big garden.
And I'll bust it down there and then bring it up as we need it.
And that way it won't, usually where we dump it is right where Matt's going to put the shed. So he's got it all cleaned out now. He's got some tree trimming to do and then start measuring. And
once we get the shed built, then all the wood will go in it. It's crazy. Been here 30 years and still don't have a wood shed.
yeah, that's all right. We've made do.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be a little better once we get it built and get everything we need under it. It needs to stay dry, including the wood.
Yeah. Yeah, so Matt's making progress, and we'll be sure to share it once it actually gets started and share some of it. Right now it's just been kind of cleaning up and organizing and situating and planning, and I guess the next part is the trees. You have to do that, cut trees, and then start measuring.
Yeah, there's a little bit of stuff in the corner back there I need to get out of there, and then I'm going to saw the trees down and open it up and see how much room I've got to deal with, and then I'll begin to measure for the material that I need. Some of it we've got, but some of it I'll have to buy.
And that's our main goal for this winter.
Yep.
And hopefully we can get it
I think
done.
so. As long as we can get the stuff, I don't know, it might be a little hard to get because of all the storm stuff, but that'll be okay. They need it worse than we do.
They do, for sure, yeah. Yeah, even if it causes shortages in that, they definitely need it more than we need a shed that, like Matt said, we've managed to do without for
Right.
30 years. So
Yeah, we can go another year, but it won't hurt us.
no, Matt's tractor fits in Granny's garage, and the four-wheeler usually stays in the basement. Those are the two of the things that would go under the shed. So we definitely could do without it.
Right.
But hopefully Matt'll be able to get that done this winter. We're always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia, and we are really thankful to all of you who have helped, and all of the storm victims from Florida to Virginia. Like I said, we really appreciate everything that you've done, and I'm just amazed by the outpouring of people who have helped, from praying, which is the most important thing, to donations, to actually going and delivering stuff or going and working. It's just been amazing to see how many people are willing to help, and it's really inspirational, and we know that you're part of that, and we really thank you for that.